China is in a lot of trouble. Their economy is absolutely melting down, and their president is doing everything that he can, and the Chinese government to stop this contagion from continuing. What am concerned with the most is when an economy collapses, it moves to two different things: massive price reductions to try and spur growth, right? And obviously, along with that comes government stimulus, and we're going to read about that in a second. But also war, and I want people to understand that I am very concerned with war. And that's why it's important to stock up on a little extra food, and not just because this isn't a message like a missile's coming to your hometown and a bomb dropping, but any kind of big altercation from China and another country will cause supply chain shocks. And I think it's important to have some emergency food. I know it sounds crazy, some toilet paper, a water filter. I'll put a link to the water filter company I use. I absolutely love, made in America. I just absolutely love the company. But yeah, I think this is very important signs of when an economy collapses, what they do. All right. It says here China goes all out as their leader vows fiscal stimulus to save private economy, stabilize real estate, and boost stock markets. It says yesterday, when describing the latest round of monetary stimulus out of Beijing, we said that China is not done stimulating. And boy, were we right. Global markets are sharply higher again. Again, let me remind you as we're reading this, global markets shoot up when the government bails it out. Okay, that's not a good thing. If you're a stock investor, a day trader, cool, you're stoked, you made some money. That's a very small part of this population. Okay, so for the vast majority of people that are listening to this, as markets go up, I want you to understand that our market is going up for two reasons: inflation, right? People are chasing yield, and the second reason is because our government has actually been bailing out a lot of private industry. All right, now it says here, in a very so many different ways. Okay, it says Thursday, this rise in the markets were fueled by hopes of more intervention just days after the central bank had announced of China, the biggest monetary stimulus since the pandemic. After China extended its stimulus barrage for the third day in a row and vowed even more support, including a pledge to intensify fiscal support for the world's second largest economy, as well as press speculation of 1 trillion renminbi of bank injections. All right. Again, we're talking about the second largest economy on earth. Okay. Second only to us, America. All right. This is a big deal. This will affect our country. In 2005, Germany went into a deep recession, and it reverberated through Europe and into the US, and eventually actually was a trigger point for our US recession. A lot of people don't know that. Then, when we went into a recession, ours reverberated back to the east, and it affected them. Why? Because we had less money to spend, so they had less items to sell, so they were making less too. Okay, we're talking about this world's second largest economy, not Germany. We're talking about the world's second largest economy. It is going to reverberate, just like what FTX did, the collapse of FTX and a Bitcoin price drop did to our US banking system. China is going to do to Europe and to the US. Now, let me tie a couple of key points together that are one key point that no one's talking about. I can guarantee it. And type one if you agree with this. China developed the Silk Road, a vast delivery platform for trucks and other ways of delivering goods from the east, from China into Europe. Okay. Now, we've been talking about Europe's collapse, and we've been saying that a lot of us believe, type two if you agree with this, that as Europe collapses, we're going to collapse. We're only going to be a handful of weeks, maybe 8 weeks behind Europe's economy utterly collapsing because we're so tied to them economically, right? Okay. I want you to remember something. If China is collapsing right now and they're having a hard time, think about what's going to happen with that flow of goods going into Europe. Also, remember that we have the BRICS nations, China, Russia, India, all these countries against the Western civilization. So I believe there is going to be defaults and supply chain breakdowns between the East and the West. All right. China vowed, it said, to save the private economy, stabilize its property sector from further slumping, boost its stock markets, and ensure necessary fiscal expenditures, according to the readout from a meeting that came out on Thursday. They said it is necessary to help enterprises tide over difficulties, said the readout, which was just released after 1 p.m. The top decision-making meeting was chaired by the president of China, Xi Jinping, came after financial authorities rolled out a raft of stimulus measures on Tuesday. They said it's necessary to look at the current economic situation comprehensively, um, objectively, and calmly. The readout said, face up to difficulties, strengthen confidence, and effectively enhance the sense of responsibility and urgency to do a good job in economic work. Um, there was a sense of emergency intervention in today's meeting because, as Morgan Stanley analysts noted, the Polit Politburo, hopefully I've got that, I mispronounced, I butchered that one, usually does not hold economic sessions in September, suggesting an increased sense of urgency or an emergency about growing deflationary pressures. But they said China's government did not yet appear to have reached a whatever it takes moment on the economy, at least not just yet. Still, there was a certain sense of open endedness to the latest promises, as state media reports of the meeting did not provide figures of the proposed fiscal stimulus. Okay, and the reason why they do that is because they're holding out to see how the markets um, are affected or how they deal with that information. Traders want to know that the government's going to stand behind them in case they're taking massive losses. Banks, developers, things like that, right? And so that's the first shot across the bow. That's just good poker playing. You're bluffing at first until you've got to go right in and go, here's the injection. This is the numbers. So they wanted to calm the markets first. If they blew their whole load at once and said, hey, we're diving into the markets and this is how much, and the markets didn't take that as enough, then it's going to cause even further panic and they'd have to print even more money. Okay. It says, uh, I think what people need to realize, and the most important part of all of this, is that just because it's China and not us doesn't mean it's not going to affect us. And I think that, again, this is the time to just make sure you got a few months worth of food. Make sure you got some toilet paper and some water, a water filter. And the reason why is because during a deflationary spiral, there are some times where inflation can spike up because of supply chain crashes, cuts. Matter of fact, this is on the eve of supposedly tens of thousands of dock workers in America going on strike because they want more money and better, benefits or hours and all that stuff. That's going to cause supply chain crunches. So this is one of those great times where when you've got a little extra money, you go, hey, you know what? I'll get prepared a little bit. Why not? And if I'm wrong, or you're wrong, and you go, hey, you know what? I got all this stuff. Well, you still got this stuff. Nothing wrong. I hope you got something out of this. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you to everybody that's been subscribing to the newsletter with whatever that's going on with the channel. They're still getting the videos every morning. Thank you so much. Have a great day. The Ninja is out.